In the vast expanse of the Andromeda Galaxy, the Zorgan civilization reigned supreme. With technology that dwarfed most species and a penchant for exploration, they had colonized countless worlds and subjugated numerous lesser races. Their ships, organic constructs that pulsed with bioluminescent power, traversed the stars with ease. At the heart of their empire was the Grand Nexus, a sprawling space station that served as the seat of Zorgan governance. It was here, in the dimly lit chambers of the High Council, that a peculiar discovery was being discussed. "Counselors," began Zorax, the chief science officer, his facial tendrils quivering with excitement. "Our long-range sensors have detected anomalous energy signatures originating from an uncharted solar system on the fringes of our territory." A murmur rippled through the assembled counselors, their exoskeletons clicking in a display of intrigue. The High Counselor, an imposing figure draped in shimmering robes, leaned forward. "Explain, Zorax. What is the nature of these energy signatures?" Zorax manipulated the holographic display, bringing up a star map. "We believe they are artificial in origin, High Counselor. The patterns are too regular to be natural phenomena." However, he paused, his compound eyes reflecting the shifting light. "The technology does not match any known species in our databases." The High Counselor's antennae twitched. "A new civilization, then? One that has escaped our notice until now?" "It would appear so," Zorax confirmed. "Initial scans suggest a primitive species, likely still confined to their home world. They call themselves humans." A titter of amusement filled the chamber. Primitive species were hardly a concern for the mighty Zorgan Empire. Still, the High Counselor knew that even the most rudimentary civilizations could pose a threat if left unchecked. "Send a scout ship," the High Counselor commanded. "Assess their technology and determine if they possess anything of value. If not, we shall leave them be, for now." Zorax bowed his head. "As you command, High Counselor." On the outer reaches of the Sol system, a shimmering portal burst into existence. From its swirling depths emerged a sleek, bioengineered vessel, a Zorgan scout ship. Its chitinous hull gleamed in the starlight as it glided past the gas giants, its sensors probing the alien system. Captain Zalara stood on the bridge, her triocular vision fixed on the viewscreen. "Status report," she barked, her voice a melodic trill. Her second-in-command, Xyrix, manipulated the organic control panel. "We are approaching the third planet, Captain. Scans indicate it is the hub of human activity." Zalara's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. "Any signs of advanced technology?" Xyrix shook his head. "Negative, Captain. Their orbital infrastructure is primitive at best. Mostly satellites and a few rudimentary space stations. Nothing that poses a threat." A predatory grin spread across Zalara's face. "Excellent. Move us into a low orbit. Let us see what these humans are made of." As the scout ship descended towards the blue-green world, its sensors drank in every detail. The sprawling cities, the vast oceans, the networks of roads and primitive vehicles. Zalara couldn't help but feel a sense of superiority. These humans were so far behind the Zorgans that they scarcely merited a second glance. But then, something unexpected happened. As the ship conducted its scans, a transmission cut through the silence of the bridge. A human voice, speaking in a language their translation matrix quickly deciphered. "Attention, unknown vessel. This is Major Liam Donovan of the United Earth Defense Force. Your presence in our orbit and your invasive scans have not gone unnoticed. We request that you identify yourselves and state your intentions immediately." Zalara's eyes narrowed. The humans had detected them? Impossible. Their cloaking technology was beyond the comprehension of such a backward species. She turned to Xyrix. "Ignore them. Continue the scans." But the transmissions persisted, growing more insistent. "Unknown vessel, this is your final warning. Cease your hostile actions and respond, or we will be forced to take defensive measures. Zalara scoffed. Defensive measures? What could these primitives possibly do against a Zorgan scout ship? She opened her mouth to order Xyrix to block the transmissions, but before she could speak, the ship shuddered violently. Alarms blared throughout the bridge as consoles flickered and died. Zalara gripped the command dais, her eyes wide with disbelief. Report. Xyrix's face was awash with shock. Captain, we've lost power. Shields, weapons, propulsion, everything is offline. How? Zalara demanded, her voice a shrill screech. What did they do? Before Xyrix could respond, a new voice filled the bridge. Zorgan vessel, this is Ambassador Evelyn Pearson of the United Earth Alliance. We have disabled your ship and taken your crew into custody. Rest assured, you will not be harmed. However, we have much to discuss. Zalara slumped back in her chair, her mind reeling. The humans, the primitives, had captured a Zorgan ship. It defied belief. As the reality of their situation sank in, a cold dread settled in her gut. The High Council had made a grave miscalculation. These humans were far more advanced than they had assumed, and now, the Zorgans would pay the price for their arrogance. News of the scout ship's capture rippled through the Zorgan Empire like a seismic shock. The High Council convened in an emergency session, their usually composed demeanors cracked by the weight of this unprecedented event. This is an outrage, bellowed Councillor Zortax, his bioluminescent markings flashing with anger. The humans dare to lay hands on a Zorgan vessel? They must be made to pay for their insolence. The High Councillor raised a calming appendage. Peace, Zortax. We must not let our emotions cloud our judgment. The humans have demonstrated capabilities we did not anticipate. We must proceed with caution. Zorax, the chief science officer, stepped forward. High Councillor, if I may. Our initial assessment of the humans was clearly flawed. We must gather more information before we act. The High Councillor nodded sagely. Agreed. We will send a diplomatic envoy to this United Earth Alliance to negotiate the return of our ship and crew. And to learn more about these humans and their unexpected advancements. On Earth, Captain Zalara and her crew found themselves in a lavishly appointed holding facility. Despite their status as prisoners, they were treated with a level of hospitality that left them begrudgingly impressed. Ambassador Evelyn Pearson, a striking human female with piercing green eyes and an air of unwavering confidence, visited them regularly. She engaged Zalara in long discussions, probing for information about the Zorgan Empire while revealing tantalizingly little about Earth's own capabilities. You must understand our caution, Pearson explained during one such meeting. We have long been aware of the existence of galactic civilizations, but we have chosen to keep our own progress hidden to avoid the attention of potential aggressors. Zalara's mandibles twitched with a mix of frustration and grudging respect. And yet you risked exposure by capturing our ship. Pearson's smile held a hint of steel. A necessary risk. We couldn't allow your invasive scans to continue unchallenged. It was a matter of principle. As the days turned into weeks, Zalara found herself growing increasingly intrigued by the humans. Their technology, while not as advanced as the Zorgans in some areas, showed a level of ingenuity and adaptability that was truly remarkable. And their society, with its diverse cultures and philosophical traditions, possessed a richness that Zalara had rarely encountered in her travels. Meanwhile, the Zorgan diplomatic envoy arrived at the edge of the Sol system. Led by the renowned diplomat Xyloth, the delegation was a study in calculated restraint. Xyloth, known for his skill in navigating tense negotiations, was determined to secure the release of the scout ship and its crew without escalating the situation further. As the envoy approached Earth, they were met by a human escort vessel. Its sleek, angular design hinted at capabilities far beyond what the Zorgans had expected from a supposedly primitive species. Greetings, Zorgan envoy, came a voice over the comm link. I am Admiral Nora Sato of the United Earth Fleet. We will guide you to the designated meeting place. Please follow our lead and refrain from any unauthorized scans or transmissions. Xyloth bristled at the implication that the Zorgans would engage in such underhanded tactics, but he held his tongue. There would be time for posturing later. For now, he had a mission to complete. The meeting took place in a neutral location, a space station orbiting the red planet the humans called Mars. As Xyloth and his entourage disembarked, they were greeted by a human delegation led by none other than Ambassador Pearson herself. "Welcome, Ambassador Xyloth," Pearson said, extending a hand in the human gesture of greeting. "We've been expecting you." Xyloth regarded the outstretched hand for a moment before reluctantly grasping it with his own appendage. "Ambassador Pearson. I must protest the treatment of our scout ship and its crew. This unprovoked act of aggression by your species is a grave violation of galactic law." Pearson's expression remained placid. "With all due respect, Ambassador, it was your ship that violated our sovereignty. We acted in self-defense and in accordance with our own laws. But let us not dwell on past misunderstandings. We are here to find a path forward." As the negotiations unfolded, Xyloth found himself increasingly frustrated by the humans' unwillingness to divulge the full extent of their capabilities. They deftly deflected his probing questions and made it clear that they would not tolerate any attempts at coercion or intimidation. "You must understand, Ambassador," Pearson said, her voice firm but not unkind. "We have no desire for conflict with the Zorgan Empire or any other galactic power. But we also will not be bullied or coerced. We are willing to return your ship and crew as a gesture of goodwill, but in exchange, we ask for your assurance that the Zorgans will respect our sovereignty and our right to self-determination." Xyloth's antennae twitched with barely suppressed agitation. The humans were making demands of the Zorgan Empire. It was unheard of. And yet, he could not deny the strength of their position. They held the scout ship and its crew, and they had demonstrated a level of technological advancement that could not be ignored. After days of tense negotiations, a deal was struck. The Zorgans would withdraw their forces from the Sol system and agree to a non-aggression pact with the humans. In return, the scout ship and its crew would be released unharmed. As Xyloth prepared to depart, Ambassador Pearson pulled him aside. "This is a new beginning, Ambassador. An opportunity for our species to learn from each other and build a future of mutual understanding and respect." Xyloth regarded her warily. "And what of your hidden capabilities? Will you share your secrets with us?" Pearson smiled enigmatically. "In time, perhaps. But for now, let us focus on the path ahead. There is much we can learn from each other, if we are willing to listen." With those words echoing in his mind, Xyloth boarded his ship and prepared for the journey home. The humans had proven to be a formidable and unpredictable species, one that could not be underestimated. As the envoy slipped into the darkness of space, he couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of a new era, one in which the balance of power in the galaxy would be forever changed. The return of the scout ship and its crew to Zorgan space was met with a mixture of relief and unease. The High Council convened once again to debrief Xyloth and assess the implications of this new development. "The humans are a conundrum," Xyloth reported, his voice tight with tension. "They possess capabilities that far exceed our initial estimates, yet they claim to seek only peace and cooperation." The High Counselor leaned forward, his bioluminescent markings pulsing with interest. "And what of their technology? Did you learn anything of value?" Xyloth shook his head. "They were frustratingly vague on the specifics. It's clear they have made significant advancements in fields such as propulsion, energy manipulation, and cybernetics. But the full extent of their capabilities remains a mystery." Counselor Zortax slammed a clawed appendage against his console. "We cannot tolerate such secrecy. The humans must be made to share their knowledge with us, willingly or not." The High Counselor raised a calming hand. "Patience, Zortax. We must not let our desire for their technology blind us to the potential consequences of our actions. The humans have already demonstrated their willingness to defend themselves. We cannot afford a costly and unpredictable conflict. Xyloth nodded in agreement. I believe our best course of action is to continue the diplomatic approach. We should invite a human delegation to Zorgan Prime, to foster a greater understanding between our species and lay the groundwork for future cooperation. The High Counselor considered this for a moment before nodding. Very well. We will extend an invitation to the humans. But let us be clear, our ultimate goal is to secure access to their technology and ensure that the Zorgan Empire remains the dominant power in the galaxy. As the Council debated the finer points of their strategy, Ambassador Evelyn Pearson was already en route to Zorgan Prime, accompanied by a carefully selected delegation of human diplomats and scientists. Among them was Dr. Liam Chen, a brilliant xenobiologist who had been instrumental in deciphering the Zorgan's unique physiology and communication methods. Pearson had handpicked him for this mission, knowing that his expertise would be invaluable in navigating the complex dance of interspecies diplomacy. I must admit, I'm equal parts excited and terrified, Chen confided to Pearson as they prepared to disembark. The Zorgans are unlike any species we've encountered before. Their biology, their culture, it's all so alien. Pearson smiled reassuringly. That's why you're here, Doctor. Your insights will be crucial in helping us find common ground with the Zorgans. Remember, we're not here to conquer or coerce. We're here to build bridges and forge a path towards peaceful coexistence. As the human delegation stepped onto the surface of Zorgan Prime, they were immediately struck by the sheer alienness of their surroundings. The planet was a riot of colors and shapes, with towering crystalline spires that seemed to defy gravity and vast, bioluminescent forests that pulsed with an eerie, unsettling beauty. They were greeted by a Zorgan honor guard, led by none other than Xyloth himself. The diplomat bowed deeply, his facial tendrils writhing in a gesture of respect. Welcome to Zorgan Prime, Ambassador Pearson and honored guests. The High Council eagerly awaits your presence. As the delegation was escorted through the winding, organic corridors of the Zorgan capital, they marveled at the advanced technology on display. Floating platforms carried them effortlessly across vast chasms, while holographic displays flickered with incomprehensible data streams. It's incredible, Chen whispered to Pearson. Their technology is so seamlessly integrated with their biology. It's as if they've evolved beyond the need for traditional machines. Pearson nodded, her eyes taking in every detail. And yet, for all their advancements, they still see us as a potential threat. We must tread carefully and demonstrate that our intentions are purely peaceful. The meeting with the High Council was a tense affair, with Zortax and his faction pushing for a more aggressive stance towards the humans. But Xyloth and the High Counselor managed to keep the conversation focused on the potential benefits of cooperation and exchange. Our two species have much to learn from each other, Pearson said, her voice calm and measured. While we may have taken different paths, I believe our ultimate goals are the same, to expand our knowledge, to explore the wonders of the universe, and to build a better future for all sentient beings. As the talks progressed, Chen found himself drawn into lengthy discussions with the Zorgan scientists, eagerly exchanging ideas and theories on topics ranging from genetic engineering to quantum entanglement. He was struck by their brilliance and their insatiable curiosity, traits that seemed to transcend the vast differences between their species. You know, for all our advancements, there is still so much we don't understand about the universe, one Zorgan scientist confided to Chen. Perhaps, by working together, we can unlock the secrets that have eluded us both. As the human delegation prepared to depart Zorgan Prime, Pearson and Xyloth met one final time to reflect on the progress they had made. This is only the beginning, Pearson said, her eyes shining with hope. There will be challenges and setbacks, but I believe our two species have the potential to achieve great things together. Xyloth nodded, his facial tendrils quivering with emotion. I must admit, Ambassador, I had my doubts about your species. But you have proven yourselves to be worthy partners in this grand endeavor. May the bonds between our peoples continue to grow and flourish. As the human ship lifted off from the surface of Zorgan Prime, Pearson and Chen watched the alien world recede into the distance, their hearts filled with a sense of profound change. Nothing will ever be the same again, will it? Chen asked, his voice a mix of awe and trepidation. Pearson smiled, her gaze fixed on the stars ahead. No, it won't. But that's the nature of progress, Doctor. We must embrace the unknown and face the challenges that lie ahead with courage and determination. For in the end, it is not the differences between us that define our destiny, but the common threads that bind us all together. And with those words, the human delegation set forth on a new path, one that would lead them to the very edges of the known universe and beyond, to a future where the boundaries between species and cultures would blur and where the true potential of sentient life would finally be realized. In the weeks and months following the human delegation's visit to Zorgan Prime, a flurry of activity swept through the halls of power on both worlds. The initial talks had opened the door to a new era of interspecies cooperation, but there were still many hurdles to overcome and much to learn about each other's cultures and motivations. On Earth, the revelation of the Zorgans' existence and the scope of their galactic empire sent shockwaves through the population. Some reacted with fear and suspicion, calling for a more aggressive stance towards the alien species. But others, inspired by the possibilities of peaceful coexistence and the promise of new frontiers to explore, embraced the change with open arms. For Dr. Liam Chen, the experience of meeting the Zorgans had been transformative. He found himself consumed by a desire to learn more about their biology, their technology, and their way of life. He poured himself into his research, working tirelessly to unravel the mysteries of this alien civilization. As he delved deeper, he began to uncover tantalizing hints of a greater truth, one that had been hidden in plain sight all along. The Zorgans, for all their advanced technology and imposing presence, were not the invincible, all-conquering force they appeared to be. Chen's studies of Zorgan physiology revealed a startling vulnerability. Despite their exoskeletons and formidable defenses, the Zorgans were highly susceptible to certain frequencies of electromagnetic radiation. A targeted pulse of the right wavelength could disrupt their neural networks and render them helpless. Further analysis of their technology hinted at other weaknesses as well. The organic nature of their ships and devices, while granting them unparalleled flexibility and adaptability, also made them vulnerable to certain types of biological agents and nanoscale infiltrators. Chen brought his findings to Ambassador Pearson, who listened with growing concern. This information could be dangerous in the wrong hands, she said, her brow furrowed in thought. If the more aggressive factions within the Zorgan Empire were to learn of these vulnerabilities. Chen nodded grimly. They could use them against us, or against any other species that stands in their way. We must handle this knowledge with the utmost care and discretion. Pearson agreed, and together they began to formulate a plan. They would share their findings with a select group of human leaders and scientists, and work to develop countermeasures and defenses that could protect Earth and its allies from potential Zorgan aggression. At the same time, they would continue to pursue diplomatic channels, working to build trust and understanding between their two species. They knew that the path to true peace and cooperation would be long and fraught with challenges, but they were determined to see it through. As Chen and Pearson worked tirelessly behind the scenes, the Zorgan Empire was facing its own internal struggles. The revelations about human capabilities had sent shockwaves through their society, with some factions calling for a reassessment of their entire approach to galactic dominance. Xyloth, now a trusted advisor to the High Counselor, argued passionately for a new era of cooperation and mutual understanding. The humans have shown us that there are other ways to achieve greatness, he said, his voice ringing through the council chambers. Through collaboration and the sharing of knowledge, we can unlock the true potential of our species and others. But Zortax and his hardline followers pushed back, insisting that the Zorgan way was the only way. We have not come this far by bowing to the whims of lesser species, Zortax growled, his eyes flashing with defiance. The humans must be made to serve us, or be swept aside like all the others. As the debate raged on, a small group of Zorgan scientists and diplomats began to work in secret, reaching out to their human counterparts to share information and ideas. They knew that they were taking a great risk, but they believed that the future of their species and the galaxy as a whole depended on finding a new path forward. Months turned into years, and slowly but surely, the tide began to turn. Chen's research led to breakthroughs in interspecies communication and bioengineering, allowing humans and Zorgans to work together in ways that had once seemed impossible. Pearson's diplomatic efforts bore fruit as well, with a growing number of Zorgan leaders coming to see the benefits of peaceful coexistence. And then, on the eve of a historic summit between human and Zorgan leaders, a shocking discovery was made. A hidden Zorgan faction, led by none other than Zortax himself, had been secretly developing a devastating new weapon, one that could wipe out entire planets with a single blow. The news sent shockwaves through both societies, and for a moment it seemed as though all the progress that had been made would be undone. But Chen, Pearson, and their allies on both sides refused to give up. They worked tirelessly to expose Zortax's plot and bring him to justice, and in the process, they forged a new bond between their species, one based on trust, respect, and a shared commitment to peace. As the dust settled and a new era dawned, Dr. Liam Chen found himself reflecting on the incredible journey that had brought them to this moment. He thought of the countless challenges they had faced, the sacrifices they had made, and the unbreakable spirit that had carried them through it all. And he knew, with a certainty that filled his heart with hope, that no matter what the future held, humans and Zorgans would face it together, united by a common destiny and a shared belief in the power of understanding and cooperation to conquer even the greatest of obstacles. For in the end, it was not the differences between them that mattered, but the strength of the bonds they had forged in the face of adversity. And as long as those bonds held true, there was no limit to what they could achieve, no frontier that could not be explored, no dream that could not be realized. With a smile on his face and a sense of profound gratitude in his heart, Chen turned his gaze to the stars above, ready to embark on the next great adventure in the story of human and Zorgan kind. The future was bright, and he couldn't wait to see what wonders it held in store. A new era. The revelation of Zortax's treachery and the exposure of his planet-destroying weapon sent shockwaves through the Zorgan Empire. The High Council, faced with irrefutable evidence of his crimes, had no choice but to strip him of his rank and privileges, banishing him to the farthest reaches of Zorgan space. But the damage had been done. The trust that had been so painstakingly built between humans and Zorgans had been shaken to its core, and many on both sides feared that the fragile peace they had achieved was now in jeopardy. It fell to Ambassador Evelyn Pearson and her Zorgan counterpart, Xyloth, to pick up the pieces and find a way forward. They met in secret, away from the prying eyes of their respective governments, to discuss the future of their alliance. "We cannot let the actions of a few extremists undo all that we have accomplished," Pearson said, her voice tight with determination. "We must show our people that the path of cooperation and understanding is still the right one." Xyloth nodded, his facial tendrils quivering with emotion. "I agree, Ambassador. But it will not be easy. There are many on both sides who will see this as proof that our differences are too great to overcome." Pearson leaned forward, her eyes blazing with intensity. "Then we must prove them wrong. We must show them that what unites us is stronger than what divides us." Together, they hatched a plan. They would organize a grand summit, a gathering of human and Zorgan leaders from across the galaxy, to reaffirm their commitment to peace and cooperation. They would use the opportunity to showcase the many ways in which their two species had already benefited from their alliance, and to chart a course for the future. The summit was a resounding success. From the gleaming spires of Zorgan Prime to the bustling streets of Earth's great cities, the images of human and Zorgan leaders standing side by side, united in their vision for a better tomorrow, inspired hope and renewed faith in the power of diplomacy. But the true turning point came when Dr. Liam Chen took the stage. In a moment that would go down in history, he revealed the true extent of human ingenuity and resourcefulness. For centuries, we have hidden our true capabilities from the galaxy, he said, his voice ringing out across the vast assembly. We did so not out of fear or weakness, but out of a desire to avoid the kind of conflict and strife that has plagued so many other species. As he spoke, the screens behind him came to life, revealing a stunning array of technological marvels that had been developed in secret by human scientists and engineers. From advanced propulsion systems that could cross vast distances in the blink of an eye to medical breakthroughs that promised to extend life and cure even the most deadly of diseases, the scope and scale of human achievement was breathtaking. But now, in this new era of cooperation and understanding, we are ready to share our knowledge and our talents with the rest of the galaxy, Chen declared. Not as conquerors or rulers, but as partners and friends. The reaction was electric. Zorgan leaders, many of whom had long viewed humans as primitive and backward, were stunned by the revelations. But as the shock wore off, it was replaced by a growing sense of excitement and possibility. In the days and weeks that followed, human and Zorgan scientists and engineers began working together in earnest, combining their knowledge and expertise to push the boundaries of what was possible. New technologies and innovations emerged at a breathtaking pace, transforming the lives of billions across the galaxy. But perhaps the most profound change was the one that took place in the hearts and minds of the people themselves. As humans and Zorgans began to live and work side by side, the old prejudices and misunderstandings began to fall away, replaced by a growing sense of kinship and shared purpose. Ambassador Pearson and Xyloth watched it all unfold with a sense of deep pride and satisfaction. They knew that the road ahead would not be easy, that there would be challenges and setbacks along the way. But they also knew that they had set in motion something truly extraordinary, a new chapter in the story of their two species that would echo across the ages. As the summit drew to a close and the delegates prepared to return to their homes, Pearson and Xyloth took a moment to reflect on all that had happened. You know, when I first met you, I never could have imagined that we would end up here, Pearson said, a hint of wonder in her voice. Xyloth chuckled, his facial tendrils rippling with amusement. Nor could I, Ambassador. But perhaps that is the true marvel of it all. That two species so different, so utterly alien to one another, could find common ground and build something so beautiful together. Pearson nodded, her eyes shining with emotion. And to think, it all started with a simple act of reaching out, of daring to hope that we could be more than just adversaries or strangers. As the two leaders shook hands and parted ways, they knew that the future they had glimpsed was still uncertain, that there would be many more challenges and obstacles to overcome. But they also knew that they had lit a spark, a flame of hope and possibility that would guide them through whatever lay ahead. And so, as the stars will overhead and the galaxies dance their eternal dance, the story of humans and Zorgans continues to unfold. A story of courage and compassion, of discovery and wonder, of the boundless potential that lies within us all. A story that reminds us that, no matter how different we may seem on the surface, we are all part of the same grand tapestry, the same cosmic journey. And that, in the end, it is not the darkness that defines us, but the light we carry within. The end.